Hello, this is John Locke. Today we're going to talk about bounce rate. Is it a ranking factor or not? Before we get into today's discussion, let's talk about what bounce rate is when it comes to SEO. Bounce rate is when somebody comes to a page on your website, they visit no other pages on your website, and then they leave. It's a single page user session on your website. If you had 10 people that came to a page on your website and all 10 of them only went to that one page, they didn't visit any other page on your website, and then they left and went to somewhere else on the internet, that would be 100% bounce rate. If 5 of those 10 people instead visited another page on your website after they visited the page that they came in on, that would be a 50% bounce rate, and so on. So most SEO consultants believe that bounce rate has something to do with SEO, and a low bounce rate is better. So we're going to look at some reasons why and why not bounce rate would be a factor in SEO, and what I actually think is the reality. So the most compelling reason that people give for low bounce rate being an SEO factor is that, for one, it's featured very prominently in Google Analytics. If you hook up your site to Google Analytics, you're going to see that bounce rate is one of the main metrics right there front and center as a sign of a metric that you should be tracking. And the conventional wisdom says that the lower your bounce rate, the more satisfied people are with that page. Whether it's the content on the page, if they visit other pages on the site, that means that they were happy with what they found on the page that they came in on, and so they're going to check out the rest of the site. A lot of things go into having a low bounce rate, in my opinion, and those include having a good design, having good user experience. You absolutely have to have great content and satisfy the searcher intent of what they came in to find. So overall, a low bounce rate is seen as a sign of a high quality page and a high quality website. Let's look at all the reasons why bounce rate would not be a factor in SEO. In April of 2017, Google representative Gary Illes, when asked directly if bounce rate was a ranking factor, he said that bounce rate is not a good signal. Now, he didn't say that Google does not use bounce rate at all. And I would advise people who use what Google representatives say as factual evidence, a lot of times it comes down to what they're not saying, and you have to read between the lines sometimes, because they can't just tell you the exact things that they're using, because people will then try and manipulate the system. So they can't exactly tell you straight up what they're using. But he did say that it's not a great signal. It's not a good signal, were his exact words. So why would bounce rate not be a good signal for ranking a page higher? The first thing that comes to my mind is, let's say that you're a competitor of mine and I want to rank my page above yours. Yours is above mine and I want to move mine above yours. What's a way that I could make your page lower if bounce rate was a major ranking factor? Well, for one, what I could do is go on Fiverr or go on Amazon Mechanical Turk and hire a whole bunch of people to do a search, the specific search I'm looking for, and then when your result comes up, they click on it, and then they bounce out. They leave after just going to that one page. Now, if bounce rate was a major ranking factor, then those actions alone should be enough to do a negative SEO attack on your page. For that reason alone, I don't think that bounce rate is a major ranking factor at all, because it's too easy to manipulate, both in a positive and a negative way. It's too easy to manipulate that. Just by hiring people from developing countries to go and either click on your result and then go to a whole bunch of different pages, or go to your competitors' results and bounce out. But here's what I do think. I do think that bounce rate works in certain contexts and not in others, and I'm going to explain what I mean. I think the bounce rate works in conjunction with searcher intent. The context of the bounce rate is going to make a difference. I'm going to give you some examples where a high bounce rate is not going to affect your page's rank negatively in any way. Example one would be a contact page. Let's say that someone is Googling the contact information for your company. They want to get your phone number, your email address, your physical location, or they want to send you a message. If they get this information and then they go on their merry way and they bounce out, that's not going to hurt your rank for that page because the people are getting exactly what they came there for. Similarly, if people are searching for an answer to a question and you have a long form piece of content that answers it in depth and it's presented in a way that's pleasing and it's easy for them to digest and understand, then if you have a high bounce rate on that page, I don't believe that it's going to hurt your ranking in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to throw some anecdotal evidence out there to suggest this. The top 20 pages on my own site all have a bounce rate between 76% and 92%, but most of them are in the high 80s to low 90s. Now that might be surprising for some of you to hear because all of these pages have a ranking of either 1, 2, or 3 for all the key terms, and they're generating a lot of traffic. Similarly, my friend Mario Peshev reported this with his own site. He said that he has articles on there that are generating a ton of traffic, they have a high bounce rate, but yet they're ranking really well and they're drawing traffic. The lesson here is if you're satisfying the searcher intent and you're answering their questions in every way, shape, or form, that the bounce rate isn't going to hurt you. I'm going to throw one more metric out here, and that's called dwell time, which is the amount of time that people spend on your page. One thing that I've noticed with my own site and with client sites as well is that when you have a high ranking page and the dwell time is also high, meaning people are spending a lot of time on that page, and maybe they're scrolling all the way down and they're reading a good chunk of the page, the bounce rate doesn't have a negative effect on the page. So those pages that have a high dwell time and it's satisfying the searcher intent, a high bounce rate doesn't hurt them. I think it really depends on the context of what the search is. I don't think you should take low bounce rate as a set in stone indicator that it's higher quality. I think you can have a high bounce rate and satisfy people. If it's still driving traffic, if it's not dropping in rank, if there's a long dwell time and people are scrolling down the page and they're reading it, I think that you're doing your job correctly. Now there's a lot of things that go into keeping people on the page. First off, you have to have a satisfying amount of main content and you have to satisfy searcher intent. So give people whatever they came there for, whether that's the ability to find information or complete a purchase or have a question answered. Be sure that you have all that information there. Secondly, you want to make sure that it's presented in a way that's aesthetically pleasing. For example, like the contrast on your typography is enough for people to read it. Make sure that people can digest and understand the information that they're seeing very easily. Make the experience of being on your site satisfying, in addition to having best-in-class content. The last thing that I want to bring up too, and I don't have the citation for this in front of me, Google does have ways of tracking how satisfied people are with the content on your page. So not every website in the world has Google Analytics, and I think it's only about 52% of sites. I could have this number wrong, but I think it's like that. Maybe half of sites have Google Analytics, and the rest of the sites on the planet don't. But Google has a way of tracking people all the way from the search to them clicking a result to being on the page. They don't necessarily have to have Google Analytics installed to have that information. Google Analytics is more there for you so that you can track your progress. I do know this, that they have publicly stated on several occasions that they do not use Google Analytics data in the ranking algorithm. They actually have a separate means of tracking what happens on the page, but Google Analytics is there for you. The second thing I want to bring up, they do have patents on biometric feedback. So one way to look at that would be like facial recognition. That would be things like, say if you're looking at a page and you're making a squishy, like scrunched up, unhappy face, or you're having a pleased, like kind of relaxed look on your face. Now, not saying that they use that, but they just have patents on it. So they are thinking all the time of ways that they could implement ways to track if you're happy with the content on the page. One thing that I have read before, and again, I don't have a citation or the source in front of me, I just know that I've read it. They track things like the mouse movements. So apparently there's ways to know if people are happy with what is on the page, because apparently there's like happy mouse movements and then unhappy mouse movements. So maybe if they're jamming really fast through the page and they're just scrolling through maybe they're not happy with it, but if they're lingering or maybe they make certain mouse movements, maybe it means they're happy with the page. I don't know. But they study things like this. So again, the focus should be on being the best result and providing the best answer and presenting it in the best way possible. I don't believe that bounce rate is a major factor. I think it might be a minor factor in certain cases, but I think in certain cases, a high bounce rate is not going to hurt you at all. And specifically if you have a high dwell time and you're satisfying searcher intent and people aren't going back and looking again for that same search again. I think that's the big factor. High dwell time and they don't go back and search for the same thing. And that's consistent over time and over a large set of results. If you have an SEO question that you'd like to see us answer, go ahead and drop it in the comments below, and then we'll answer it out in a future video. My name's John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO. We help manufacturing and industrial firms with SEO so they get more organic traffic through Google and Bing, and as a result, they get more requests for quotes. If you're getting value from this channel, one thing that I would ask you to do is subscribe, because we are publishing videos each and every week without fail. We're not taking time off. Each and every week you're going to see a new SEO video here. That's it for now. Until next time, peace. Bounce.